Hi everybody, it's Franny from Heidi and Franny's Garage, and today we're greasing the suspension parts on our Porsche 356. Before we can get started greasing everything under the car, we want to make sure everything's as clean as we can get it. You don't want to be pushing dirt into the grease as you're greasing. So I'll show you, it's a little bit dirty up here, so we're going to spend some time cleaning all of the suspension bits up here. With all the suspension parts clean, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the kingpins on this car. So we've got kingpins over here, we've got a tie rod end we need to grease, and we've got two Zerks, one on each of the torsion tubes. What we need to do in order to start with the kingpins is we have to get the wheel off the ground. You can't grease the kingpins while it's sitting on the suspension like that. So also I want to check the tolerance in those things. So when we get it off the ground, I'm going to grab the wheel and kind of check to make sure that the kingpin itself isn't too loose. They're original on this car, so they're kind of a little bit worn. Okay, so the other thing is that in order to grease the kingpins properly, I think you really need to loosen them up completely. There's some debate on whether you should loosen the kingpins or just get the wheel off the ground. A lot of people just do that. Do what you want to do, but I like to loosen the kingpins up completely to make sure I get grease in everywhere and then reset them. Some people say that with the grease in there now it's hard to get the setting just right and they'll end up loosening up a little bit as it squishes a little bit of grease out. Nah, I'm okay with that. I think that getting grease all the way around inside there is really the most important thing. Okay, so our next step is going to be to get the car up off the ground and get the both sides on jack stands. With our wheel free here, what we want to do is we want to check the condition of the tie rod end and also the kingpin. So the tie rod end is going to be pretty much 3 and 9 o'clock here. So what we're looking for is excessive movement. There's a little bit of play, but it's easy enough to just turn these things. This steering box is pretty easy to move. So am I feeling clunka, clunka, clunka? No. All right, now you want to take note of that. So there's a couple of possibilities. You could have a loose tie rod end on either side. The gearbox could be kind of wanky, the steering box. Or you could have a loose bearing. So let's see what it's like from 12 and 6 here. Now this is going to talk to the kingpin and also the bearings. There's a teeny bit of movement. It's not bad, little bit. Want to make sure our bolts are still tight as well, because we did loosen up our wheel bolts. We don't want the wheel moving. I'm not feeling, I guess what I'm really looking for is a pretty solid clunk in the kingpin. You try to move the entire wheel up and down, in and out. There's a little bit of play. I think that's normal. You just want to check for that. We're going to check for the same thing on the other side as well. At this point, we can go ahead and take our tire off. What we're going to do is we're going to loosen up our kingpins. Now they're held in place by two lock bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. Those are 17 millimeter. We're going to loosen those up, and then these bolts in the back here, these turns, we're going to loosen those up until this whole assembly becomes fairly loose. Once it's loose, then we'll go ahead and hit the grease Zerks, and then we'll tighten everything back up. So let's loosen our clamp bolts. They're 17 millimeter. I'm using just a ratchet just because I think that's going to work easiest for me. You can use a ratchet if you like. All right. With our catch bolts loose, we'll go ahead and loosen the actual bolt back here. There we go. There we go. Now you can see them nice and loose. Now they're on sort of a helical drive in there. If you pull these pins out, they have a sort of a worm in them, and that's how they can, you can see that as you run them back and forth, they'll, or you can probably see it better up here. As you run them back and forth, you can see them loosen and tighten. All right. What we're looking to do here is get a decent amount of grease inside here, and also all the way down. See if I can turn this, see it a little bit better. All the way down through the kingpin itself. We want to make sure this entire assembly gets lubricated. Now, as we hit it with the grease Zerk, on the grease Zerks here, and we fill it full of grease, you'll see it squirting out here, and that's what we're looking for. You always want to test it just a little bit, see if you get some grease coming out of it. There we go, we're all set. It also helps if there's any dirt or anything that's gotten on the end of this since the last time you've used it. So it's pretty simple. We just put this over the grease Zerks here. Now these things can be sometimes a bit of a challenge to get on. Sometimes it helps to kind of come in from the top at an angle, and there they lock in. There we go. Yeah, you'll see it squirting out the back here as well. Starting to see some of my red grease come out. It's a good sign. All right, I think we look pretty good here. This will pop off by pushing it all the way up like that, and then it comes off. Want to keep things nice and clean. Clean all this back up again. Whereas the grease can help a little bit with keeping it from rusting, it's going to attract a ton of dirt, so you really want it clean. We do the bottom grease Zerk the same way we did the top one. Just pop that guy on. Here we go. Now we can see it coming out of both sides, which is great. I like to squirt a little bit of extra grease in there just because there could be dirt or anything around there that seeped in, and the grease will help push it out. We'll call that good. Remove our grease gun here. With this cleaned up a bit, now we can go ahead and reset the pressure on our kingpins. So we're just going to roll these back, both the upper and lower. And what you want to do is you want to cinch them down as far as they'll go and then back them off about 1/8 of a turn. So that's about that, and then that's probably about 1/8 of a turn. Cinch this one down, back it off about 1/8 of a turn. You can also feel for any end play as well on this, which I'm feeling none at all, so that's great. Last thing is just to cinch up our bolts here. All right, that's good and tight. Tighten the other one. All right, that's good and tight. With those cinch bolts locked back down, we can double check our kingpin. And it feels great. So last step is just to clean up around here again. As you cinch these things down, it tends to squeeze out yet a little bit more grease. That's all right. Next, we're going to grease the tie rod end that's up here. It has a grease Zerk on the back side here, so we'll go ahead and hook up to that. Its grease will come out the top. We just clean it off, same sort of thing. There we go. That's easier. This won't take a lot of grease, just a bit. There, you can see it coming out. And push a little bit extra new grease in there. Okay, that looks good. This guy off. I'm going to clean up our mess. And that's it for the kingpins and the tie rod end. Next, we're going to do the grease zerks that are on the torsion tubes. We can start with our top one. There we go, click. Now the torsion tubes can take a ton of grease. You're always surprised at how much you actually put in. There it goes, you can hear it. There it goes, you can kind of see it squirting out there. There it goes. All right. You can see how it's pushing some of the old dirt out as well and just kind of looks junky. Push just a little bit more out. There we go. I think that's fine. Pull our grease gun off. Let's go ahead and do the bottom one. I'm always amazed at how much grease these things actually take. There it goes. You can hear it squirting. There it goes. Yay. Okay, that's a good bit out. Move our grease gun. There we go. And the rest is just the standard cleanup. You want to get all the way around the back too. Squirts out all over the place. I did a video on the crossover or the comparison between a Beetle and a 356, and look at this up here. If you can see this, it says VW up there. So those control arms up there are actual VW parts. Isn't that interesting? The next two are the ball joints on the steering arm here. Now, let me give you a little, this is so hard to kind of give you a frame of reference, but this bar right here is the torsion bar in the front, and then we've got our support beams here on the side. So we're really going up between the support beam and the back of the frame here, right up through this hole. You'll see them, they're right up there, they're not too hard to see. So same story as all the other ones. We're just going to put the grease gun on it, squirt a little bit, get a bit out, and then we'll just clean up our mess. It's a little hard to see too. Oh, I can see some grease up there. Okay, that's that one. Let's go ahead and do the other one. Okay. Yeah, we're on. There it is. I can see the grease squirting out a little bit. Okay, great. That's enough. We just want to get a bit of the old grease out. Now we just want to clean everything up a bit. It's all nice and clean. We got that all nice and clean now. With everything greased, all we have to do now is just to put our wheels back on and lower the car back down. Now, as far as greasing goes, there are a couple of small grease zerks in the back, but they're for cables like the parking brake and such. There really aren't any suspension grease points in the back, just in the front up here. So I'm pretty much done here. So everything's totally awesome. We do want to check this and see. There we go. We've taken the play out of it. Seems like I always get a teeny bit of play, but it's all gone now. Our wheel rotates freely, we're all set. So let's go ahead and just put our wheel back on. With our wheel back on the ground, we can go ahead and torque it now. I've got my torque wrench set to 90 pound-feet. And the last step is just to put our hubcap back on. All right, we are all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on greasing the suspension bits on a Porsche 356. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll get right to them. If you know of anybody you think would be interested in this, if you could share it with them, that would be great. That would be awesome. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, safe travels. Bye.